Yo, what's up everybody? Today we're going to be learning how to forge a solidifier. Now, I know a lot of people have asked me in the past to show them how to forge, and I've done that, but now I think it's finally time to start doing some little videos. Let me know what you think. If you got any tips or concerns or questions, etc., let me know in the comments, man, and I'm down to help. So, without any more talking and me rambling, let's get right into the forging. Alright, okay, here we go, guys. We got our deck set up here, and real quick, I'll go over what these items are to kind of explain what they do and why I've chosen them. I've seen in the past others, they can use different setups, and there's probably several ways you could do this, right? But I'll kind of walk you through the reason why I've chosen these, and yeah, let's do it. Okay, so obviously the totem here, I'm going to go with the Wayfarer's totem. Um, to my knowledge, I don't really think you could put solidification on anything else. Now I'm kind of curious. I had to go check that later. Anyway, I don't think you can anyway. So I like to use the Wayfarer's totem just because the added durability is higher than a wooden totem. Um, I'm not sure the differences of a Gleambow totem. You can probably use those two. I may need to check that one day. But for now, we're going to be using the Wayfarer's totem. Right now, the items I've chosen here, and I'll go through them real quickly. We got the special gum. This is what we're going to use to target and try to get the AoE. This right here is the venerable gum. This is what we're going to use to try and target the solidifier boon. And then lightness gum is what we're going to use to try to get busy bee, which is what's going to increase the action speed. Because if you look here, the action speed is pretty low, right? Now that 45 is going to be based off my skill points currently, which is pretty much as you can add, right? Plus 20. But we want to get that up a little higher. Now defect reversal, this will remove, as it says, 50% of the current defect points and then adds them into your boon points. So this is going to be good, right? Because we're going to be also using corrupted boon 2, which if you see here adds defect points. And the last thing you want on your item is a defect. I would always say there's never a good defect that I could think of. However, there are some that aren't really bad and some that don't even affect your forge at all, such as like critical effect or something like that, or critical damage that would affect a mining tool or something like this. The next one is going to be Draining Boon Compound 2. We're going to use this in tandem with this corruption boon, right? Reason we use this is because it does give you 1,000 points per roll, same as the corrupted boon. Now you could use like these smaller ones, right, like the draining boon ones here, but if you notice it only gives you 400. And I'll go in a little bit more detail why I use why we need the 1,000, right? Fake Pace 2 obviously gives you a buff that gives you a better chance for the sliders to land in a favorable position. I never leave home without this guy right here. It's my favorite thing in the world. Without that, oh man, forging would be even worse than it is now, right? Vigor Catalyst 2, this basically removes all buffs and debuffs from your deck. That way you can move on to the next little stage. Deconstruction Resin 3, we use this, pretty much exclusively. I'm not sure of anybody who uses Deconstruction 1 or 2. If you do, let me know though, because I am curious. I've never used it. Never really seen a reason why. This will give you a 75% chance of recovering your ingredients if your forge doesn't go the way you want it to. And obviously your setting resin. That's pretty much self-explanatory. You can't set your forge without it. So let's get into it now and see how kind of luck we have. First things you'll notice, if you've never really been in a forge before, obviously that's what it looks like, right? Now one thing I will note is that you'll notice my animations are going to be really quick, and that's because I've modified some of the game files to increase the speeds on this guy here, because, well, let's face it, if you're forging for 7 hours at a time, you don't want 60% of your time to be sitting here watching this thing spin in circles. So yeah, you may notice that's a different. Now, I know you can't do it on a PlayStation, but it is something you can do on PC. If you like this modification on the file, you let me know. I'll send you the file for that so you can modify your game files also. Okay, first things first, you notice your effectiveness is really, really low. 63% is pretty garbage. I believe the highest you can get is 200%, which is like on a diamond tool you have 200%. But the reason we were using these here is because the lower this number, the less effective your items are that are up here, right? So adding 1,000 on this low of effectiveness is going to bring you bar, I don't know, somewhere around this area perhaps. But if you were to do this on like a diamond hammer with 200%, it'd pretty much shoot it to the top, right? Now there are ways to, you know, increase the amount of boon percent you get. You could use like a boon boost paste, but I try to avoid that because those guys are pretty expensive material wise. You don't really need it for what we're doing today. So first things first, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to use a special gum, and we're going to target and try to get AoE. Now what I like to do is I like to roll 3 times on these guys. Now the reason I do that is, again, with this effectiveness being so low, it lowers the effectiveness of your gums. So now this step's weird too. I know a lot of people would be like, why are you doing this fake paste now? It's crazy. Yeah, I know, right? Oh no. The reason I do it, man, is because with this effectiveness being so low, this bar is going to fill up pretty lower, right? That means you have very little chance for that slider to fall where you want. And what I don't want to have to do is roll twice with Corrupted 2 boon, because if you notice, it says it adds a debuff. Now, however, we're going to roll real quick. Alright, so we got magnetic, that's cool, but this is going to explain what the concept is, right? So you see how little that added? And you see how there's no defect points yet. But now if I were to roll again, you see how it's now added to defect points. That's not what we want to do, right? We don't want to go adding defect points when we're just trying to add our first boons, right? Because what we want to do is add the 3 that we want, and then we can go back and select them and then level them up, right? So in this scenario, right, we don't want the magnet on this guy, so we're going to deconstruct and go again. Now if you look here, so this is like the forger's nightmare, is whenever you hit deconstruct, right? Because you never know what you're going to lose, what you're going to get back, and it just goes into the ether. I think you know, James stores all the forged ingredients up somewhere and keeps them for himself or something. Who knows? If you know, let me know, because I'd like to talk with him about that. So if you look here, right, this is how much we lost, right? So what's that, 18? We lost 18 of these guys. It's not fun at all. And that's just for one deconstruct. Imagine if you get deconstruct, you know, 20 times back to back, you could lose quite a lot. This is part of the reason why, you know, most forgers will charge a little bit more for tools, because the amount of stuff that gets lost into the ether. Right, so let's get back into it now. We're going to go a little quicker here. We're going to go with 3 of these special gums. Then we'll do our fate paste. And then we'll go with our Corrupted 2. Alright, perfect. So we got our flankers. Now it dropped at level 1. We still need to get this to level 4. But that's fine, because we will level that up here momentarily. Now notice now, right, it did not give us any defect points, so we're all good to go here. Now what we're going to do is use our Vigor Catalyst 2. So this will wipe this deck out, right? So we'll get rid of this, or fate paste. That's fine, but right, because any debuff or buff that's up here right now, oh, that Discord noise, sorry. Any debuff that's up here, right, will add back into our vigor. Okay, so if you notice that now is at 1450, that'll shoot up a little past that, right to 1650. The next thing we want to add is going to be our solidification boon. I'm not sure what it is called, to be honest with you. We're going to do very similar to what we did for the AoE, right? We're going to go 3 times. Right, we're going to drop the fate paste. And then we're going to drop Corrupted boon 2. Look at there. Oh, it's just called Solidifier boon. Perfect. Alright, so we got that. Now, it's not applied yet, so we'll still need to level that up. But it's there and set. Alright, so again, rinse and repeat. We're going to wipe the deck with our Vigor Cat 2. And now we're going to go with our Lightness Gum. Now, what I typically do the last run, sometimes I'll do 3 or 4 just to be a little extra safe, but today we're just going to do 3. feeling pretty lucky. Which I shouldn't have said that, because that's usually like the spell's doom, right? But anyway, we go with 3 lightness gum, and then we go to our fate paste, right? Now, same scenario, we're going to go with corrupted boon 2 here, and cross your fingers. Okay, perfect. So we got our busy bee. Okay, now we've got the 3 boons we want. I'm going to clear this deck off here with some Vigor Cat 2. Alright, then we're going to start work on leveling these guys up. Now, like I said, we need to get our flankers boon up to level 4. So we're going to start that first. Now, what you do to target those is you basically put the gums back in here. Now, I usually always go with 2. Some people use 1, etc. With the effectiveness being so low, I just try to make it as easy for myself as possible. And most of these gums are relatively cheap in materials to make, so it's not really, I don't consider any of these prices when I'm, setting prices or whatever. So we're going to go with 2 here, and again, pretty much every time we're going to roll, we're going to use a fate paste 2, right? Now, you could go either way with these, right? Because we know we got to get this to level 4, so we're going to have to roll a few times. Now, what I typically do at this point is I start using this Draining Boon 2, to try to level these up. Now, you'll notice it's going to start adding quirk points. As long as you got your fate paste in your quirk bar, it could be up to 75%. You kind of have a good chance, in my, history, of not really adding a quirk. And you still always have the chance of getting one, obviously, but we'll see how it goes. So we're going to roll this times. Now, you see how it's added this one here? Or sorry, it's added it to the list, but it has not applied yet, right? So this bar has to fill up. Right, so we're good. We still got some space to play with. We got level 2 here. Now we're up to level 3. Now what I usually do is on the last run of my forge, or I wouldn't say of the forge, but of the set, trying to level this guy up, what I do is I switch out this Draining 2 and I go back with the Corrupted Boon, because remember, on your first roll of Corrupted, it does not add defect points. But if I kept using this Draining Boon, it was going to fill up this bar. So I want to have some space to play with, and go from there. So hopefully this will get us up to level 4, and it did. Okay, perfect. Now also that adds a few more debuffs, so all these guys are good, right? Because every time I use the Vigor Cat, it's going to increase our vigor. Alright, so we're going to do just that, use the Vigor Cat to wipe the deck. Perfect. So now we still got to get our Venerable Gum on here to get our Solidification boon up. So what we'll do that real quick. I'm going to drop 2 of these gums, drop a fate paste, and we're going to go with Corrupted boon 2, because as you see the bar is already really maxed out, so 1 roll should get us there, and we wouldn't have to worry about any defect points being added. Awesome. Now again, pretty much what you've noticed is it's rinse and repeat, right? We're going to wipe the deck every time we get what we need, because we don't want to keep adding defect points. So let's wipe the deck, and now we're just going to level up Busy Bee as much as we can until we get out of Vigor. Now on the last run here, I went up to level 3 because I want to give it a better chance of going into Busy Bee as opposed to going into down here, because what you don't want is to level this up to 5, because I believe that's called the random one, where it just hits who knows what, and we don't want that. So we're going to do the Fate Paste 2. Now if you notice too, also our vigor is getting lower, our stability is getting lower. What you don't want is this to be below 110, because once you get below 110, you have a chance of breaking your item. So you got to be careful with that, and if you do that, you lose the item and all the materials you've went with so far. So right now we've got what we need here, we've got what we need here. Even right now, if I was to set this, it's still pretty good forge, but we want to get this a little higher. I want to try to get that to at least maybe a 6, hopefully. Alright, so now we're going to go with Corrupted boon. We could probably roll a couple times. Based off our stability, we could probably roll at least 3 times, maybe 4, depending on how this guy plays with us, right? So he's got to play nice. Alright, so then we're down to 347, and that was actually good, right? So I like to see this where it takes out some of this bar and puts it halfway into one of these guys, because the chances of this landing here at the low level it's kind of small, right? So that looks good to me. Let's go a few more times. So we've got that up to 6. We still have very little defect points. We're going to go one more time. We should probably get this up to a 7. That's perfect. This comes to the point in every forge where you kind of say to yourself, do I really want to go one more time to try to get this to an 8, or is a 7 good enough for me and not to risk it? Because our stability is high enough we could go again, but our defect's getting higher. Our quirk's not too bad, but this is the one that worries me, right? Because your defect, any defect is going to be bad on this guy unless it's critically unlucky or something like that. Now 7 is more than 5. It gives you plus 35 action speed. Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna set this because I don't want to risk getting a defect. Now you could drop this guy here, which there's not really much of a point of it at this time. Like I said, I was going for a level 6. We've got a level 7. That's more than enough to be happy with. So we're gonna set this guy now, and there it is. We have created our Solidifier with an action speed of 80, so it's not too bad at all. Alright, if you got any questions though, let me know. Also let me know what you would like to see me walk you through next video, because depending on how this goes and if people like it, I'll make some more. You know, this is my first one I've done, so you know, we'll see.